We tried yesterday. They were like,
We don't have
hello, welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show. We were just talking during the break that part of the fun of this program is that we're developing and devising it on the fly. So yes, we know what we want to do. We know what guests we want to have. We know what topics and segments we want to cover. But how you do that can be done differently. It can be done conventionally. It can be done move the curtain and look behind what's going on. And part of that would be the breaks to see who's saying what. It's not part of the program, but it is a part of the program.
I think it would be the most entertaining part of the program. Do we have FCC regulations?
No.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, because I've been biting my tongue for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is good.
Well, and Bob loves to tell the story. My business partner, Bob Allen, one of our first broadcasts we did was New Year's Eve 2007 to 2008. So 2.5, almost 3 years ago. That shows you how long we've been in development. And we were doing New Year's Eve from the Watermark, which is here in downtown Ventura. And it was like, I don't know, 10:30 or something. We're about to start. We're upstairs on the, have you been there? At
Yes.
W2O,
Yes.
so the third floor, just lovely. And Mark and Kathy Hartley, the owners, are amazing proprietors too. And talk about do-gooders for the county and the city and downtown Ventura. So it's New Year's Eve, of course, everybody's partying, right? And I'm working. And then, so that's what I say to Bob. Hey,
That's what she calls it.
Bob, are we under FCC regulations? He goes, no. And I went, hey, bartender, I need a dry martini.
There you go.
So,
And on that note, we'll start talking about marketing. Somebody give Maria a drink, and I'll cover marketing. Do the viewers still think there's water in these cups? Because it's like the Dean Martin thing now, right? The old Johnny Carson show. So should we talk about marketing for just a little bit and sneak that in? All right. I'll give myself a segue. How's that?
Well, I was going to say, Scott Harris, not only our political correspondent, but his day job is as proprietor of Mustang Marketing in Thousand Oaks, California. So we have had Marketing 101, 102, and now this is 103.
103.
Okay.
101 was strategic planning. 102 was the tactical stuff, kind of the creative. And today we're going to talk about communications audit and budgeting. Because in the end, you can talk about all these things at an esoteric level, but somebody wants to know what kind of check they have to write. So what I wanted to chat about today was this, which is the first thing that we like to do when we start to talk about dollars with a client is take a look at, unless of course they're a brand new company, but if they've been around for a little bit, we go back a year, maybe even 2 years if we can. We do what's called a communications audit. And we look at every dollar and every hour that you've invested in marketing during that time. And it's an interesting thing because most people go, well, here's how much we spent on ads. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not it. How much did you spend on the development of ads? How many other things did you do? How many trade shows did you go to? Do we want to include sales in these numbers? And we walk through a variety of things. If we were doing that plan for my show or for my company, for example, this time would count. I'm not writing a check, but this is marketing for my company. So this investment of time, you're taking the CEO of the company, you're sending them out for a couple hours to do this. And so when you start to get people to put it in perspective like that, they're always shocked at the investment they've made, because they haven't kept track of it. They don't really understand every time they send somebody out to speak at a Rotary Club or a chamber meeting or speak at a trade show or write an op-ed piece. All of those things come under the marketing umbrella, and they all require time and or dollars. So we try to get a look at that budget. Now we pull that budget together, and if you remember when we talked about strategic planning, we establish some goals, we identify an audience and a message, and then we pick the right vehicles. And a lot of the budgeting is those vehicles, are those vehicles. How are we going to reach the people we want to reach? Are we going to do it through direct mail, through ads, through radio, TV, through this show, speaking engagements, what might it be? And now we'll start to prioritize those. What's the best way to do it? And then we attach some dollars and some hours to that. And now we have a working number. And you can look at that and say, okay, these are all the things we've done in the past and the expenses related to it or the investment that you made. These are the things we think we should do in the future, and this is the proposed investment that we're going to make along those lines. But of course, in the end, you have to have a budget. You have to say, well, that's all fantastic. You've got $1 million worth of ideas. I've got $87,000 in the kitty. What are we going to do? So now we have to prioritize it. We go through and we say, we believe that this is going to be more important than that. And more important means it's going to give you a greater return on your marketing investment. So while doing the direct mail would be great, we think the money should go into television, or we think the money should go into another trade show or whatever it might be. And we begin to prioritize that. And we develop this matrix that we're going to use to work from. And you're able now to look at that and in priority order say, this is the most important investment we're going to make this year. This is the 10th most important investment we're going to make this year. And over on the side, there should be a column that directly relates to which audience that's going to reach so that you know who you're reaching to help you establish and then achieve your goals. So all of that comes together. And I get the question a lot from an awful lot of clients say, well, how much should I spend on marketing? As if there's a magic formula. And painfully, there's not. I wish there was. I wish you could say 6.78% of your gross revenue should go into marketing, and that's what you do. But it's not that way at all. A startup should be spending more money than an established company. Mm-hmm. A company in transition, you're introducing a new brand or you're moving into a new market, should be investing more money in marketing. A company that does most of their sales through, say, the internet or through a website is going to invest more money in marketing to drive people because they don't have other tools that they're using. Mm-hmm. There's no walk by, there's no drive up, there's nothing else happening. Either we motivate them to come to the website or they're not going to come, so we have to make them aware. So you have to look at all of those different components and say, in the end, this is how much I want to spend. Now, I've worked with large corporations that have spent as little as 3 to 5% of their gross revenues on marketing. And I've worked with startup companies that have spent 50, 60, 70%.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. Because let's say you're starting a website. Let's say you're going to start a website and sell butterscotch. All right? Now, you've got to put a few bucks into buying some butterscotch. You've got to develop a website. But after that, most of your money is going to go to driving people to your butterscotch website.
Right.
It's going to go into marketing. Right? Now, that's different than if you own a candy store, say, at the Ventura Harbor.
I'm always curious, though, how somebody even establishes how much money they have to spend with you. In other words, you said you have $1 million idea, I have $87,000, but the truth is, how do they know that they have $87,000? They really don't have $55,000 or $102,000.
Right.
Because you could always give more perks to your employees.
You could, and there's, and you know what? Again, that's usually not a definitive thing. You kind of, companies that have been around for a while, they spent $87,000 last year, so it's pretty easy to say we're going to spend $87,000 this year. It's not necessarily correct. Or we have to cut, so everybody has to cut 10%. So, now you're down to X. Or we're going to increase the budget 5%. But they're not really evaluating the number. They're just making a percentage decision. To get to that original $87,000, you kind of look at that list of ideas that you've come up with, and you say, these first 7 ideas are absolutely going to get us a return. This is what we really need to do. And so you take a look and say, and these total $62,000. Now, you go back to the business and you say, what did you spend last year? What did you invest the year before? And do you have $62,000? We have a client, and it doesn't matter who they are, but we invested about $600,000 in the last 10 months in marketing for them.
$600,000?
In marketing. And
wow.
They came back to us. We came back with our proposed budget for 2011, and the CEO said, well, that only is a 50% increase in what we spent last year. And I said, I believe 50% is pretty aggressive budget change from one year to the second. And he said, I've gotten the best return on investment in this marketing dollar of anything we've done this year as a company. I want to at least double what we've invested.
Oh my goodness.
And so he came back because he saw it not as an expense but as an investment. Mm-hmm. He looked at it and said, I can absolutely, and I don't want to share who the client is, but I can absolutely attribute this much in new sales to what we invested over here in marketing. And as a result, I want to invest more until I start to see that return decline.
Right.
Right? So when it starts to decline, you say, let's slow that down. And that's what you have to look at to do a good job. That's why the communications audit is so critical.
But isn't it true, too, sometimes that the dollar that you invest doesn't get your rewards tomorrow or next month or even next year because it's a part of the layering?
Some of the dollars are layered. Those are branding dollars, where I'm building an awareness of my company or an awareness of my brand or an awareness of a particular product. That's different than a sale dollar, which is come to the store before Friday at 5 o'clock and we'll give you 2 for 1 on frames or dinner or butterscotches, whatever it might be. So you have to take a look and say, how much of this is long-term branding investment that we're going to make so that we're generating an awareness so when we launch a new product, somebody's already aware of it. So for example, you're launching the Maria Sanchez show, and from 4 to 6, Monday through Friday, and there we go. And so you have to create a tremendous awareness for that. Should you now choose to add Saturday or go to 7 or open at 3, it's not going to require nearly the investment because you have that awareness out there.
Right.
You're just saying, we're expanding.
Right.
From instead of starting at 4, we have so much to talk about, we're going to start at 3.
Right.
And there you go.
And contact information, I know we've...
I appreciate you flashing it up there, but it's mustangmktg.com. If you want to contact me directly, you can do that. My email is scott@mustang mktg, which is short for marketing.com. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. And Scott visits again with us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And when we come back, we have City Council member Neil Andrews speaking with us. This is National Homeless Awareness Month. You're watching the Maria Sanchez Show right here on KADYTV.com.
The Maria Sanchez